I am Arcoth, once a dark warrior, now the solitary sentinel of self-reliance. The crude implements of physical combat have been discarded. My might lies solely in the arcane. I vow to immerse myself in the essence of each domain, extracting its wisdom and riches before setting foot onto the next realm. Our lives. A tapestry woven by the minuscule yet profound threads of destiny. What is it that spurs a man to alter his course forever? A passing phrase, drifting on the wind from a stranger's tongue. A book, shrouded in a century's worth of dust, words long forgotten by time? Or is it the capricious moods of the weather, its shifting patterns mirroring our own internal turbulence? Are these not the humble artisans of our fate? In my case, it was naught but a simple stone. A stone inconspicuous, dismissed by my brethren as a trifling bauble of no consequence. Yet, in my hands, it assumed a new identity. It whispered of a realm hitherto unexplored, a trove of wisdom and knowledge that lay just beyond my grasp. The mere act of picking it up set forth a chain of events, a metamorphosis that revealed to me the existence of so much more. As Voltaire so aptly put it, chance is a word void of sense. Nothing can exist without a cause. And so, it was that this simple stone became the cause of my transformation, a cause that compelled me to question, to seek, to break free from the shackles of conformity and embark on a path less trodden. In this fortress I shall remain, for as Confucius stated, the man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones. I must dismantle the mighty edifice of my past, brick by brick, casting Zamorak's teachings into the dust. No step beyond these hallowed yet hollowed halls shall I take until I have rectified the afflictions that gnaw at the roots of my home. Hours melded into days, days into weeks, the linearity of time dissipating into an undulating sea of repetition and monotony. My brothers, immersed in their chaos-ridden pursuits, hardly noticed as I wandered the fortress, a scavenger in search of arcane scraps. My fingers grazed the cold stone floors, picking up rune after rune, their ancient symbols searing themselves into my mind. These tiny tablets of knowledge were my sustenance, the elixir that fueled my burgeoning thirst for wisdom. Yet the whisperings of Machiavelli reverberate in my mind. There is no surer sign of decay in a country than to see the rites of religion held in contempt. And so, my secret endeavors were eventually discovered. My sacrilegious foray into the arcane perceived as a defiant affront to our Zamorakian faith. My brothers, twisted in wrathful betrayal, advanced, and I was forced into the next act of my unraveling saga. Torn between the instinctual desire for survival and the seductive lure of untapped knowledge, I found myself teetering on the precipice of oblivion. I sought solace in a locked chamber, my sanctuary amidst the tumultuous storm that raged outside its bolted doors. The musings of Emily Dickinson came to mind. Hope is a thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without words and never stops at all. No sooner had I regained my strength, I embraced the inevitability of my fate. I was no longer the prey, but the predator. I would not cower within these stone walls. No, I would take to the courtyard, its expansive openness a strategic advantage against the suffocating corridors of the fortress. Oh, my brethren, knights cloaked in Zamorak's shadow, how you stray from the path of justice, how you wield your weapons with abandon, slaves to the dogma of chaos. Your worship of Zamorak, your blind allegiance, fills me with a seething fury. Yes, brothers, I sentence you to liberation, to the freedom of death, to the peace of silence. Hear my vow. I, Arcoth, the Seeker, the Mage, I shall be your deliverer, your reaper. Your end shall be my beginning. And so, I lured my first victim, a brother I once shared camaraderie with. As we clashed, Nietzsche's words echoed. Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster. And if you gaze long enough into the abyss will gaze back into you. Yet, I had peered into the abyss and found not darkness, but light. There, in the courtyard, I stood, a lone figure against the backdrop of a righteous slaughter. My victim, my brother, lay cold on the ground, his chaotic energy extinguished. As I buried him beside the skeletal remains of another unfortunate soul tortured by this foul fortress, his face hidden beneath the mask of death, the finality of it all hung in the air, a thick fog of despair. Yet there was a solemn beauty to it, an elegance in the way life surrendered to death, a graceful dance as old as time itself. In the hollow echo of mortality, I heard the whisperings of Epicurus. Death does not concern us, because as long as we exist, death is not here. And when it does come, we no longer exist. I stood there amidst the harsh realities of my new existence, pondering the transient nature of life. My brother had been a victim to this cruel dance of life and death, yet here I was, Arcoth, reborn from the ashes of my own chaos. The darkness that had shrouded my past existence as a nameless dark warrior had been dispelled. I was no longer a mere foot soldier serving under the flag of Zamorak. I had shed that identity, emerging from the cocoon of my former life, a phoenix rising from its ashes. The skeletal remains hanging on the gallows seemed a distant remnant of a forgotten past. The bones, a stark white against the earthy brown of the fortress soil, held a story of a time before my awakening. How long had they been there? The sands of time wiped away their history, leaving only bones as a silent testament to their past existence. My memories of that era, a life drowned in the chaotic pursuit of Zamorakian ideology, seemed to have faded into oblivion, washed away by the metaphorical waters of my rebirth. As I stood there, I was reminded of the profound words of T.S. Eliot. To make an end is to make a beginning. The end is where we start from. With each death came an end, a culmination of a chaotic life. But within it, I saw a beginning, the new birth of understanding, a chance for redemption. Death, I realized, was not just the final destination, but the portal to an eternal journey, a bridge to the continuity of existence. As Arcoth, I had been gifted the privilege of experiencing this profound wisdom. Death was not an end, but a transformative beginning. Man is born free, and everywhere he is in chains. Rousseau. Such chains, forged in the fires of Zamorak's teachings, held me captive for too long, ensnaring my spirit, my sense of self. But the time has come. The need for emancipation gnaws at my soul. I choose to cast away the fetters, the cold metal of man-made weaponry, those tools of destructions birthed from Zamorak's anvil. Magic, so Dorothy Morrison spoke, is not a practice. It is a living, breathing web of energy that, with our permission, can encase our every action. Oh, the resonance of such words. To be a conduit of cosmic forces, to weave the very essence of existence, to become one with arcane elements. I choose magic. Magic to be my voice, my shield, my armament. I abandon the crudeness of physical violence, favoring instead the dance of celestial manipulation. As I delve deeper into the cosmic mysteries of magic, each level ascended is not just an enhancement of power, but a step closer to understanding the infinite. The strength I gain, the skills I hone, they are not just for battles fought, but for battles within, a testament to the power of the self, to the capacity for change. Know thyself, said Socrates. Each spell, each incantation, brings me closer to this self-knowledge, this self-realization. Within the confines of the ancient scrolls, the symbols dance, runes scribed on the very fabric of reality, air, water, earth, fire, mind, chaos, and body. The essence of my mystical journey, my fingers trace their forms, a dance with the arcane, as I weave the strands of their power into spells of combat. Wind strike, my first incantation. A gust of air and mind intertwined. Water strike, earth strike, fire strike. Each spell a step in my dance with the elements, their names whispered in hushed reverence as I prepare to harness their power. A testament to the intricate ballet of arcane progression. As I tread upon this path of arcane enlightenment, each footstep echoes through the halls of eternity. Each rune I gather, each spell I cast, a testament to the relentlessness of this task, this grand ballet of life and death. My brothers, the Dark Warriors, are enthralled by chaos, their hearts beating to the frenzied rhythm of Zamorak. For long, I too was lost in this cacophony, my thoughts drowned out by the clamor of chaos. But the runes, these symbols of ancient power, were my beacon. They led me to the old tombs, plundered from the nearby ruins, their pages breathing tales of the grandeur of the Zerosian Empire. How fascinating is it that chaos, the doctrine I once lived by, led me to the path of order and wisdom. It was through the seemingly disordered runes that I found the harmonious symphony of knowledge and enlightenment, just as John Keats echoed in his Ode on a Grecian Urn. Heard melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter. For now, I gather these discarded ruins, each a stepping stone in the path to unlocking my own potential. These stones, deemed worthless by others, are my treasures. My keys to the vault of wisdom. Every rune I collect, every spell I learn, brings me one step closer to the profound understanding that the Zerosian Empire promises. And as I delve deeper, I realize, in the words of Heraclitus, character is destiny. It was not the stone that altered my path, but my character, the inherent desire to learn, to evolve, to seek truth. In this grand theater of existence, as I slay my former brothers, I perceive the echoes of my past, reflections of the man I once was. Each fall a victory, a testament to my journey away from Zamorak's shadow towards Armadil's light. But this is no mere slaughter. This is a liberation, a freeing of spirits from the chains of chaos. As Voltaire noted, every man is guilty of all the good he did not do. In their defeat, I seek to do good, to bring justice and peace to their tormented souls. This gold, spoils of my fallen brothers, an emblem of victory? Nay, a stark reminder of my purpose. I cast it aside, for my wealth is not material, but philosophical. My riches not gold, but wisdom. Look upon this rune, this symbol of power, a remnant of a fallen brother. Each one a token of progress, a stepping stone on this path of growth. Yet, each rune also a reminder of the weight of my task, of the unending sea of nights that stand before me. Observe the spoils of battle, the tangible remains of these fallen knights. Each item a story, a narrative thread in this tapestry of my transformation. But these are not merely objects. They hold the key to understanding, to growth, the very stepping stones on my path to enlightenment. The endless cycles of battle, the countless fallen. It feels futile, this pursuit, as endless as the river Lethe in Hades' realm. Yet with this repetition, this monotony, I find a strange solace, a trance-like rhythm. A multitude of small delights constitute happiness, claimed Charles Baudelaire. Perhaps in this unending task, in this ceaseless repetition, I find my own multitude of small delights. From the void of sameness comes the essence of monotony. Monotony, the relentless cadence of identical moments strung together, weaving the tapestry of my existence. Rune after rune, one after another, a cycle of repetition that has become the rhythm of my life, the essence of persistence, the essence of endurance, embodied in each identical moment, each individual rune. Fyodor Dostoevsky wrote, "Taking a new step, uttering a new word is what people fear most. And yet, here I am, caught in an infinite loop of sameness, craving that very thing that humans fear the most. A new step, a new word, a break, and this monotony. Yet, in each rune, I find a peculiar comfort, an order to the chaos, a symmetry in the disorder. From rune to rune, from night to night, I march onward, the echoes of my actions merging into a dissonant symphony of monotony. Cast after cast, thousands of times, my hand moves with the grace of a mechanical ballet, each motion a mirror of the last, each action a shadow of the next. In the monotony, in the endless repetition, I find a strange solace, the drone of sameness that lulls me into a trance. Each rune, each cast, each spell, a mantra that resonates in the caverns of my soul. The monotony and solitude of a quiet life stimulates the creative mind, so said Albert Einstein. I find myself drowning in the depths of my own thoughts, stimulated, inspired, provoked. Spell after spell, the rhythm of monotony beats like a drum in my head. The echo of each incantation bounces off the walls of my consciousness, spiraling into a vortex of repetition. Each repetition, a reflection of the last. Each reflection, a prediction of the next. Yet, in this seemingly endless cycle, I find not despair, but liberation. For in the monotony, in the repetition, in the relentless rhythm of sameness, I find the canvas upon which the unique color of each moment can be painted, the uniqueness of each rune, the individuality of each spell, the singularity of each cast, shrouded in the veil of monotony. Faced with the relentless tide of repetition, I stand undeterred, ready to embrace the monotonous dance of existence. For I realize it is within this seemingly drab tapestry of monotony that the vibrant threads of life are woven. It is within the identical grains of sand that the magnificent desert is born. It is within the monotony that the essence of life resides. To this symphony of repetition, I lend my ears. To this dance of monotony, I lend my steps. For I am but a player in the grand spectacle of existence, a puppet in the cosmic ballet of time. And in the monotony, I find my role, my script, my part to play. I am Arcoth, the rune mage, the chronicler of monotony, the dancer in the ballet of repetition, the echo in the canyon of sameness. And I march onward, rune after rune, cast after cast, spell after spell, lost and found in the labyrinth of monotony.
1, 2, 3, 4!
There! A foreign entity breached into the fortress, an intruder in the midst of our sacred ruins. My instinct, honed by years of servitude under Zamorak, surged forth like a wave crashing onto the rocks. My fingers trembled, anticipating the satisfying impact of a strike, a desire instilled in my heart through years of merciless conditioning. The stranger was weakened, embroiled in his own struggle with my brethren. He was ripe for the taking, a mere stroke away from extinction. I was on the precipice, my mind torn between the allure of the kill and the newfound restraint that cautioned me. In this moment of revelation, the words of Friedrich Nietzsche resonated within me. Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster. Was I not here to escape the shackles of Zamorak's chaos? If I were to succumb to the primal urge to extinguish this stranger's existence, would I not become the monster I sought to destroy? I had cast off the mantle of Zamorak. My journey as Arcoth was a testament to this metamorphosis. As I returned to my task, I bore with me the weight of my transgression, a stark reminder of the path I had chosen to tread, the path of self-awareness. The stranger's presence, while a disruption, had served as a catalyst, forcing me to confront the demon within myself, thereby strengthening my resolve to walk the path of enlightenment. As I gazed through the eastward windows, a solitary figure emerged from the haze. Not a creature of malice or an agent of chaos, but a purveyor of textiles, a merchant of capes. This man, who identified himself as Sam, presented me with an array of colors, each cloak a different hue, each cloak promising to cloak my form with its unique personality. I found myself in a quandary, attempting to align these external symbols with my internal identity, the palpable against the impalpable, the material against the metaphysical. The tapestry of my life was still under construction, the weave not yet fully formed. Which of these capes could truly encapsulate the essence of my newfound path? In the end, it was a cape of deep blue that found its way onto my shoulders, not as a result of any profound epiphany, but by the whimsical hand of chance. I concluded my exchange with Sam, parting ways with this rather unremarkable character in the grand narrative of my journey. And here I mused upon the irony of existence. It is in these small, inconsequential encounters that our lives are assembled. The mundane transactions, the cursory interactions, the forgettable faces, they pile up, one on top of another, until they form a mountain of nothingness. These insignificant moments, devoid of meaning and isolation, ultimately amalgamate to form the entirety of our lives. Yet, when we look back, we realize that they are still nothing. They amount to nothing. And it is in this nothingness that we spend our lives, fighting, struggling, and ultimately existing. The words of the Roman philosopher Seneca ring in my ears. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Is it not our imagination that adds value to these worthless moments, constructing an illusion of importance? We tend to romanticize the mundane, searching for profundity where none exists. But as we move forward on our individual paths, we must remember to keep our feet firmly planted on the ground of reality and not get lost in the mazes of our imagination. The wilderness, a land of desolation and isolation, ruins whispering tales of yesteryears. How grand it must have once been. Cities gleaming under the sun, rivers brimming with life. Oh, how I paint these visions on the canvas of my mind, colors vibrant, imagery resplendent. The walls, once fortresses of grandeur, now worn by time, yet holding a certain melancholic beauty. But beauty, as Keats professes, is truth, and truth, beauty. In the heart of this desolation, I find my truth, my purpose, my journey. The numbers of my former brothers are as vast as the grains of sand in the desert, each one a reflection of my past. I find myself pondering on the paradox of the ancient philosopher Zeno. If I were to have the distance to my goal with every step, would I ever truly reach it? Is my task destined to be an endless journey? Yet, even as I question, I press onward. The monotony of my labor gives birth to a new philosophy, a realization. Just as the river ceaselessly carves its path through stone, my persistence, my conviction, slowly but surely carves a path through this sea of nights. As the last echoes of battle fade, I stand alone in the silence. My charge, the battle, the endless struggle, it continues. Yet within this chaos I find a strange peace, a rhythm. The journey, however long, is a journey towards self. This duty, this struggle is but a crucible in which my new identity is forged. This is my path, my transformation, my journey as Arcoth. Within the arcane wisdom inscribed in the tomes I have uncovered, Firebolt emerges as a destructive force, a fuming harbinger of pain against my erstwhile brothers. Yet, while it possesses a formidable potency, it is not the zenith of my sorceress ascendancy. From the ethereal tendrils of knowledge, another incantation has emerged, whispered in the hollows of the dark fortress. Crumble undead. A spell not of destruction, but of dissolution, a plea to the cosmic order to release the unliving from their shackles of existence. It is a peculiar sentiment, this desire to wield my newfound magic against not the living, but the lifeless, the skeletal echoes of beings that once were. I cannot help but find a bitter irony in this. The skeletal remains, those that lie scattered in the vicinity of the fortress, have long been an eerie backdrop to my existence. Their silent presence, a haunting reminder of a cyclical destiny, a perpetual dance between creation and decay, life and death. My stronger brothers remain elusive, distant, engaged in deeds unknown. The weaker ones, however, have fallen by my hand, their lives extinguished, their stories brought to a premature end. Their demise has been my crucible, a brutal curriculum of self-realization and change. But can I claim that I have truly learned all I can from their sacrifice? Can one ever completely know another's story, even when they themselves are the author of its final chapter? No. My journey here in the Fortress of the Dark Warriors is not yet complete. Despite the bloodshed and sorrow, there are lessons yet to be learned, wisdom yet to be unearthed. Yet it is not my brothers from whom I seek to glean more knowledge, but from the unliving that reside on the fringes of my world, the skeletons who silently bear witness to the struggles and our victories, our beginnings and our endings. They, too, have stories to tell, lessons to impart, and it is my task, nay, my duty, to heed them, to learn from them, before I can finally step beyond the confines of this place. In the words of the great philosopher Socrates, I am not Athenian nor a Greek, but a citizen of the world. And as such, every experience I encounter, every moment is an opportunity for knowledge and growth. Thus I must continue to seek, to learn, and to grow until I am ready to move on to the next chapter of my journey, wherever it may lead. Ah, the void. The great nothing. The absence. Nihilism. The philosophical specter that haunts the shadows of the mind. An exploration into the abyss. The realm of non-being. Friedrich Nietzsche said, "If you gaze long into the abyss also gazes at you." Ah, to gaze into the void. To glimpse the infinite nothing. What a peculiar indulgence. Each step I tread, each skeleton I fell, each spell I cast, echoes into this great abyss, this theater of non-meaning. Life's but a walking shadow, uttered the tragic King Macbeth. A tale told by an idiot full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Each fallen night, each flicker of life extinguished, each skeleton felled, a walking shadow meeting its inevitable end. But are we not all shadows flickering in the existential abyss? Our lives are but brief candles in the infinite dark, our victories but ephemeral sparks in the relentless void. Albert Camus professed, "There is but one truly serious philosophical problem, and that is..." Oh, the despair that lies in understanding the ephemeral nature of existence. And yet, is there not a peculiar beauty in this tragedy? A poignant poetry in this dance with the void? As I stand amidst this desolation, I am struck by a profound revelation. Each ruin, each relic of the past, a testament to the relentless march of time, a dance with the abyss. The beauty of the ruins lies not in their grandeur, but in their surrender to the void, their descent into oblivion. The monotony of the grind, the unending repetition, an existential treadmill running into the abyss. Oh, the crushing weight of Sisyphus' boulder, the ceaseless grind of existence. But in this absurdity, this cycle of meaninglessness, lies another revelation. Each step, each strike, each spell, a defiant cry into the abyss. For the abyss is not merely an absence, a void, but it is also a canvas, a blank page upon which each of us may scribe our tale. The abyss gazes back, yes, but it does not dictate. It does not command. It offers no answers, for it holds none. And in this silence we find the freedom to create, to defy, to be. And thus, I walk this path, each step echoing into the abyss. I realize nihilism, the great specter, is not a decree of despair, but an invitation to create, to challenge, to dare, to make one's mark upon the void, to dance with the abyss, and in doing so, to become truly alive. This is my journey. The journey into the abyss, the dance with the void, the dance of life. In the tumultuous dance of death and decay, a singular artifact falls from the skeletal grip of an undead soldier, a dagger. Not a mage's staff or an arcane text, but a weapon of bloodshed and brutality, often wielded in the pursuit of conquest and power, yet a whispered knowledge reverberates within the labyrinthine halls of my mind. Whispers of mages who wielded such tools not for the penetration of flesh, but for the channeling of their cosmic energies. The dagger, a symbol of power, of authority, of aggression, now rests in my hands. Its metallic chill seeping into my fingers, my mind teetering on the edge of an ethical precipice. To wield or not to wield? A question that drills into my very core, stirring the ancient and the modern within me. The undead horn, as though sensing my contemplation, retreats into an eerie silence, granting me the solitude to ruminate. The blade glimmers, seemingly flickering as it reflects the occasional beams of sunlight that penetrate this palpable haze. Its cold gleam a stark contrast to the raw power of the arcane that I have been harnessing. My hands explore the weapon, feeling the familiar weight, the biting edge, the balance. Once such a weapon was the extension of my will, a means to enforce my authority, a means to kill. For a time, the dagger and I exist in a state of silent understanding, the very epitome of the philosophical dichotomy I now embody. Here I stand at the threshold of my past and my future, the path of violence and the path of enlightenment, a physical manifestation of the inner turmoil that I have been wrestling with since my rebirth as Arcoth, the mage. In the end, as the philosopher Epictetus once said, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. My decision to destroy the dagger, to relinquish the allure of power it promised, was not a mere act of rejection. It was an affirmation of my journey, a symbol of the renunciation of my past, and the embracing of my future. I am no longer a dark warrior. I am no longer a slave to chaos and destruction. I am a mage. I am a scholar. I am a seeker of knowledge and wisdom. With the echoes of the shattered dagger still ringing in the air, my resolve is tempered, strengthened. Returning to the familiar yet ever-evolving chaos of the fortress, I immerse myself once again in the pursuit of runes, stepping further into the void of arcane secrets and forgotten knowledge.